Hello, my dear listeners. In this video today, I will follow up on LinQto situation with the bankruptcy restructuring. I attended the Zoom press conference on July 16, where CEO Dan presented his plan to convert LinQto holdings, our shares, to open-end fund through bankruptcy. And basically, I went at, well, the point of this video is it's not legal or financial advice, of course, but I use the ChatGPT. I use some analysis, some cost analysis, some how long it's going to take. That's what how much it could cost, and if it's a viable plan. I will cover this in a video. So let's start. So the Destiny, well, the similar company, Destiny Tech, Destiny XYZ. So they have a portfolio of the private shares. And what is interesting, how much they've been trading, because they're trading like a share on a stock exchange. And if you see here, they started about $8.50. Was a huge spike at the beginning in the first 2-3 weeks of trading, over $100. Then it's collapsed, and after Donald Trump was elected as a president, it ran to $75 again. But it's a good thing to see here. It's never traded actually below its opening price of $8.50. So that's what I assume that the initial shareholders paid for. So if we get our shares, but we cannot speculate that we'll repeat this scenario. But at least you see that those type of funds have a demand, and it's could appreciate over time. And well, it's going to be somehow different because lots of the actual shares, if they use the actual shares, it's going to be over 50% Ripple and SpaceX. Well, Circle, I'm not sure what they're going to do with it because it's publicly trading. And actually, in the conference was said that maybe it will allow us to, Circle holders, which is I am a Circle holders for disclosure, and I'm actually Cerebras holders, and I'm LinQto shares holders for disclosure of this video. To liquidate for cash and wait until the bankruptcy is released, and then we can get cash instead of the shares, or much like or a mixture of both, depending on what I actually like this approach to have this option possibly sell, because my holding of Circle is quite high, and I would like definitely sell. Depending on the price after the holding period, I would like to definitely sell, not all, but a good portion of my Circle holders, and wait for cash after everything is said and done. But let's continue and see how ChatGPT has. Basically, I asked him to run the cost analysis and estimate in the fees and fines. So the setup of open-end fund here, you can see the breakdown of the fees. I'm not going to read because, well, it's about 4 million to set up something like this, okay? But there is different fonts that, well, I will cover this later. Now about the regulatory fines, you can see the breakdown, the possible regulatory fines. Well, I also see that estimate everything, the budget over the next 10 months, assuming that it's going to take 10 months. Well, and then we got an approximate budget here, which is I calculate about, in the best case scenario, assuming the fines will be in the long range, 15 millions. I assume 24 millions, which is not bad actually, assuming that LinQto has 20 millions in proceeds that the court may allow them to use, and they have 3 million. They might not dive too deep in that DIP loan that is very costly. So but this is the on the low end. But I also ask, assuming that situation here, I'm not going to read that again. Assuming that different factors. Is maybe the regulator will be less, they will be more cooperative and more reasonable, and could be less than 5 and 15. The fine could be less than 15 millions. I asked this ChatGPT, and well, basically he described the condition, and he said yes, it could be less. Well, the new estimate was between 5 and 10 millions instead of the 15 millions in a very good case scenario. Open end fund here could get cost less no, and it could go ahead as soon as possible to provide us liquidity. Okay, so that's the conditions which is I read, and I think the new management inspires confidence and looks like they meet those conditions. Now court, well, if the court can protect us for fine, that was another question, but the court, basically the regulators have their own enforcement and they not rely on the court decision, but the court can well, they can't erase regulatory fines without regulators' consent, but court can pressure regulators to be pragmatic and prioritize investor recovery. Okay, so that's basically what the lawyers will need to demonstrate in front of the regulators. Well, here also the question about, like, you know, they care. Yes, I ask about their procedures of their guidelines, SEC, FINTRA, and they not gonna crash the company just because they want to make, you committed violated. We're not gonna look at the circumstances. We're just gonna crash you because you violate those rules, and pay. So they basically not operate like this. They prioritize the consumer protection, which is in this case we may expect a lower fine, so it's feasible. Okay, so that's the negotiation guidelines, which is we fall into it. I read it and it's very good. I will try to link this into description, under description of my video, everything, if YouTube allows me. So now we have a final summary of the budget for the next 10 months. Well, 12.5 is 17. Well, best case scenario, realistic low end case scenario, 25-30 million. So if it's going to be in between those, let's say 20 million, but even if we look on the higher end, 30 million, LinQ has the money with their loan, but they will have to go deeper in their DIP loan, which is costly, and like, you know, they don't have, they will have to refinance it to repay. Now about the delay, well, I asked about my assumption because I made it up about 10 months. Dan said something about 8 to 12 months during his presentation, but he didn't emphasize on it. I just noticed it and I took note of it, but it was not like presented as a promise or something, like he mentioned, like just hypothetically. So I make it up. So what is the delay? Because the delay is crucial also for all of us, how soon this fund can be traded. Well, it says 10 months is optimistic, but most likely 12 to 18 months. But here actually we can have something, well, it's all depends if nobody objects. So, like, you know, if somebody is watching this video and you are a client, if you want to object to their procedures, you will delay this for everybody else. It's your right, but it's how it is. And it also depends how, like, you know, the regulators and each individual body like of the government reacts to the situation. We have no control over this. But I think it's since it's in the interest of all the consumers and the company to resume it as soon as possible, and because it's cost longer it takes, more it's going to cost. So they might try to do it rather sooner than later. So basically, timeline scenarios. Okay, timeline estimated time launch open-end fund. Best case scenario, pre-built fund SEC fast track. Okay, so this is 9 to 10 months. Realistic send fund 12 to 15 months. Delayed objection compliance issue 18 to 24 months. Or private open-end fund non-tradable on the exchange, which is less interesting, but it could launch as soon as after 6 months. But okay, and the final thought, LinQ has already done major legal groundwork. What's the delays? Depends, and sure, like, you know, maybe in the next presentation they can answer us those questions. Like my question will be how ready they are, and actually I would like to know if it's possible the breakdown of the shares they hold, how much, you know, they disclose how, in some communication they hold 4.7 million of Ripple shares, but it would be good to know like a breakdown by per company, since they like going into this scenario, how much of each company shares this you know, the LinQto hold for all of us. And there is a recommendation. Okay, so would you, well, he asked me the question because, well, I assume that the LinQto management and the CEO are smart enough to do this without me, but well, they're definitely smart, but maybe they well, I'm sure they use it, they have legal advice, so they don't need us, but this is just a path that it can be done. But this is all like, you can run something like this yourself, depending on the prompts you use to get the answers. But you know, it looks very good to me to conclude. And it's let's say if in 1 year we can get or after, you know, 9 months we can get some liquidity, and after 1 year it becomes fully operational, and we get the fund that we can sell on the stock market, like, you know, like this. We get the shares that will be trading like this. It will be very good, you know, considering the current situation. It will be very good scenario, and I'm 100% in support of that. So well, please like the video to support my work, and thanks for watching, and please comment.